What's up guys, welcome back to the Streets YouTube channel. Now, game week 1 has come and gone and we've seen some very interesting fixtures that had been taking place. We got a look at the upcoming teams that had been promoted, and obviously we got to see who would be potentially challenging this season. There's been some interesting results over the weekend, some which were to be expected, and some teams which ultimately done better than what was thought of them. So let's get straight into it, and what we'll do is we'll see, give our analysis on each game. Obviously we'll see the scoreline, see how I done compared to my preview predictions, and we'll analyse it from there. So first game to kick us off in the Premier League was Burnley versus Manchester City. Company versus Pep Guardiola. Obviously, Company brought Burnley up from the Championship with over 100 points and a good brand of football. So it was interesting to see how they would get on in the Premier League. And it's fair to say that the 3-0 scoreline for Manchester City in the end didn't flatter them, but on the whole, Brighton did do very well. The style of play did work to a certain point. They generated quite a lot of chances in this game, and in the end it was just Man City's quality which got them over the line. I think Manchester City, even though they got that early goal through Haaland, they did start quite slow. They allowed Burnley to press them, and usually you would see with other teams that Man City would be able to break that press quite easily and be able to still play their free-flowing football. But Burnley did make it difficult for them. Even when Erling Haaland scored the second goal, Brighton still kept to their game plan, and yeah, it wasn't until they got the third goal where their heads dropped and it got a bit difficult for them. So what did we learn? Obviously we learned that Manchester City are going to challenge again this season. Their quality is second to none, and Burnley are, you know, as long as they can do it against the lesser so-called teams in the Premier League, they should be they should do quite well this coming season. Obviously there was a bit of frustration towards the end in this game with Zahawi's red card. It was like one of those orange card type tackles where it was very rash. It wasn't violent conduct, but he was out of control. It was a very frustrative tackle, and you can see why the referee first gave the yellow and then they got upgraded to a red card, because it was out of frustration and he was nowhere near the ball. But you know, I predicted a 2-1 result, so I get a point for that because I predicted a correct Manchester City result. But yeah, I thought that Burnley, like they showed, would have that intent. They were just missing that final pass and the quality in front of goal. But I think over the course of the season that will come. So I think it could be a decent season for Burnley. On to Arsenal v Forest. Now this game was a typical Premier League game where the better side dominated throughout. The game was won with 2 moments of quality. First, Gabriel Martinelli, his skillful pass to Eddie Nketiah, who scored the first goal, and then Saka's brilliance then for the second. But it was Arsenal's inability to close the game out. They still left the door open. We all know 2-0 is a dangerous scoreline in the Premier League, and it showed to be the case again. So obviously the Forest changes made a massive difference. One thing I will say with Forest is that where the players coming off the bench are of that similar quality, whoever they bring on, you don't really see a drop off in quality as you do with some subs. You know, you could say it with the Arsenal subs. When they brought them on, there was a slight lack in quality. There was a drop off because their starting 11 is so good. Whereas if you look at Forest, a lot of their players are average, and when they brought on their subs, Again, they were, you know, pretty much an average type of player. No disrespect to any of them. Obviously, they play in Premier League football. They must be of the highest quality. But in comparison to other Premier League teams, obviously it would come down to they are a bit average in comparison. But like I said, obviously the changes that the Forest manager Steve Cooper made paid dividends, and they linked up and got the goal for Nottingham Forest, which made the last 10 minutes really cagey. Nottingham Forest were the better side in the last 10 minutes. They were pushing for the equaliser, but I think Arsenal held out well and deserved the 3 points in the end. Obviously it ended 2-1. I predicted a 3-0 victory for Arsenal. So again, I got a point for that, for predicting Arsenal's victory. On to Bournemouth versus West Ham. Now, this game was quite a cage affair for the most part. Obviously, Bowen showed that brilliant bit of quality. He won them the Conference League final, and obviously doing his best again to set West Ham on their best foot in this game. Both teams went and hit the woodwork. First Souček in the first half, and then Rothwell in the second half for Bournemouth. Solanke's goal, it was a bit fortunate. Semenyo went for a shot, it deflected straight into Solanke's path, but his composure was really good. Something that I've seen, rounding the keeper and just putting the ball into the back of the net, and I think it was really good. Obviously Bournemouth was building a lot of pressure beforehand. I think that was mainly due to West Ham getting the goal and then sitting back on that, relying on the counter-attack, but they had an ill effect, and it allowed Bournemouth to build that pressure and get the equaliser. I think a draw was a fair result. It obviously finished 1-1, and I predicted a 2-1 win for Bournemouth, so I don't get any points there. On to Brighton versus Luton. One of the many fans and pundits would have said was one of the bankers of the weekend. Brighton ran out 4-1 winners. I thought Mitoma was excellent throughout the game. It's rare a winger consistently makes the correct choices, and I think he was very forward in everything Brighton was doing. Obviously being a winger, he was able to create a hell of a lot of chances, and I think he was excellent throughout the game. Obviously there was one lapse of concentration where Dunk handled the ball. Whether it was harsh or not, that was up to the referees to decide, and it allowed Luton to get a foothold back into the game, only for Brighton to go and score 2 late goals. So I think overall a good performance from Brighton. Finished 4-1, and I predicted a 2-0 victory for Brighton, so again 1 point for me. On to Everton versus Fulham. So this game it lacked a lot of quality. Everton started very fast. They were the better team throughout the game. You could just tell that they had a number of chances, and unfortunately couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. They were again missing Dominic Calvert-Lewin, which you can tell if he is injured a lot throughout the season, it will be a massive hindrance for them. And if he stays fit, we'll see them safe, but if he is out a lot, we'll see them in trouble again, and could be potentially getting relegated, especially on the back of this performance where they did have one of their better games but still come out on the wrong end of the result. Leno in goal for Fulham was excellent, carrying on from last season where he had one of the best save percentages in the league. He was outstanding. He kept Fulham in that game and allowed them to go up the other end and get that all-important winning goal. But on another day, Everton could have got something out of the game. They could have drawn or even won the game. So it's not a bad reflection on Everton. The only thing I would say is that they should, they should have been able to take one of their chances, because they were very good. Now, obviously, it finished 1-0 to Fulham, and I predicted a 1-1 draw. On another day, that would have been true, but on this occasion I don't get any points. On to Sheffield United v Crystal Palace. Now this is a game that lacked a lot of quality. You can see that the loss of a few key players in both sides came to hurt the quality of the game, but it did make for an exciting game. Sheffield United started fast. They got a lot of attacks going. They played some decent football, but again, because of that lack of Premier League quality they have in their side, was unable to put the ball in the back of the net, and the Fodringham had his blushes spared because Anderson hit one from about 35-40 yards, and he could only parry it into the path of Jordan Ayew, who hit the ball in the back of the net. But luckily for Fodringham, it was offside. It would have been a bad moment for Sheffield United and the goalkeeper otherwise. But all in all, like I said, wasn't the best game to watch. Edouard scored the only goal of the game, finished 1-0, and I predicted a 3-1 victory for Crystal Palace because I thought the quality would have been a bit better. Crystal Palace still has some quality players in their team, but overall they did get the victory. And because I predicted that, that is 1 point for me. Now on to Newcastle, Aston Villa. And who would have predicted the scoreline in this? All the hype of Aston Villa signings over the summer, and Newcastle run away 5-1 victors. Unfortunately, Mings did go off early with a bad looking knee injury, which somewhat hampered their hopes because I think after Pau Torres came on, their back line was very disjointed and it didn't seem like they had a leader at the back. They were playing an incredibly high line and they just kept getting broken in behind. Did this scoreline flatter Newcastle? Was Newcastle that good, or was the instruction from Unai Emery, was the setup, was the defence, stuff like that, was it just wrong from Aston Villa? Again, it's yet to be seen. Moussa Diaby and Tonali both scored on their debuts, which was good to see. It's the first time two signings scored the first 2 goals on their debuts. So, but yeah, obviously a 5-1 victory was outstanding for Newcastle. It's yet to be seen whether they will carry that on. You know, one would think that they would because they are a quality outfit. But they do have some challenging fixtures coming up. They do have Manchester City, they do have Liverpool. So they will be the real tests. But I was disappointed with Aston Villa, as many others were also, because everyone thinks that Aston Villa are going to have a very good season. They started very slow last season, and it looks like they're starting slow again this one. It finished 5-1. I predicted a 2-2 draw, so no points there. On to Brentford versus Spurs. A roller coaster of a game, finished 2-2. Spurs started off very brightly, and then the same defensive errors crept into their game and allowed Brentford to come back and then get in front, only for Tottenham to equalise then and make it 2-2. Entertaining affair, but obviously not the best of quality. I think James Maddison done very well in his debut Premier League game. Obviously he's a player that ultimately deserved to be playing Premier League football and was unfortunate to be in that Leicester team that got relegated. So we'll see how both of those sides do throughout the season, but a 2-2 draw I think both teams can be happy with. I predicted a Tottenham 3-1 victory. This was obviously before Harry Kane did leave, and I think the game was there for the taking for somebody like a Harry Kane, because Richarlison did have a few chances which he did let go by the wayside. On to the most anticipated game of the weekend, due to factors off the pitch. Obviously Chelsea and Liverpool both were locked into a transfer saga over the last week with both Caicedo and Lavia, and it looks like Chelsea came on top in both of those aspects. But on the pitch, Liverpool started the much better team. For the first 20-25 minutes, Liverpool got their goal, a very good, well-worked goal, started with the goalkeeper and quickly got worked up to the attack, where Salah played a beautiful through ball into Diaz, whose first time finish beat Robert Sanchez in goals. Obviously Robert Sanchez on his debut as well. And after that, again, it was another rollercoaster game. The momentum completely switched. It seemed like after that, Liverpool's midfield was non-existent for the rest of the half, and Chelsea kept coming through them, just cutting through them, knife through butter, and it was all Chelsea then on. Chelsea's goal was a bit scrappy. Ball was inside the box, it went to the edge of the box where Chilwell headed it back across, and Disasi was there on his debut to put the ball in the back of the net. Very unlikely goal scorer. I thought Nicholas Jackson played very well. Kearney Chukwuemeka as well, when he obviously is one of his first starts for Chelsea, and I thought he played very, very well as well. I thought Liverpool had the ability to exploit that backline of Chelsea's. Disasi and Thiago Silva are not the fastest, and Levi Colwill, even though he's still young, and up against Mo Salah, I thought Mo Salah could have got the best of him. But obviously Liverpool's defence throughout the game, constant errors, and they led to their own downfall. If they played at their best, the game was there for the taking. But Chelsea did very well, and they're only going to get better under Pochettino. I think for Liverpool, they'll look back at the end of the season. I think this is a good point, because I don't think many people will win at Stamford Bridge this season. I think Chelsea do look a good outfit and a hell of a lot better than they did last season, especially under Mauricio Pochettino. The game ended 1-1, and I predicted a 2-2 draw. Now on to the last game of the week, and that was Manchester United versus Wolves. This game got my head scratching, and it got me thinking, were Wolves very good, or were Manchester United just that bad? Yes, Manchester United got the victory, but it wasn't a very pretty win. One would say that's what you have to do to win Premier League titles, or win ugly, make sure you just get the 3 points, which is what they did, and I think they'll continue to do that throughout the season. But on the whole, I think it was more the latter. I think Manchester United were as bad as Wolves were good, because there was a lot of times, especially out in the wide positions and in the forward positions, where Manchester United just gave the ball away unnecessarily a lot. Garnacho didn't have his best game. He was poor on the ball. He was rash in his efforts. It's the same goes for Anthony. They both didn't have their best game, but it is the first game of the season. You could tell Rashford didn't want to be in the number 9 position. He'd much rather be out on that left. I think they will improve massively once Højlund is back from injury and he is able to play in that number 9 position, releasing Rashford out on that left. I thought Mount, it's highly reported at this point that Mount had a horrific game, didn't influence matters at all, and same with Martinez. I don't think Martinez was very good, which is why he got taken off at half time. He was rash in everything he'd basically done, and didn't look in control at all. And I thought Manchester United did look a lot better when he got taken off and Lindelof came on and partnered Varane. The game ended 0-0, and I predicted a 4-0 victory for Manchester United, mainly because I just thought the turmoil at Wolves, especially with Lopetegui leaving so soon before the start of the season, and Gary O'Neill coming in only 2 days before the start of the season, I just thought he wouldn't have enough time to set the team up how he wanted to, and I think it would have been a tough start for Wolves, but that wasn't the case. It was only a 1-0 loss, and on another day they had 23 chances. It's the most any team has had at Old Trafford since 2005, but obviously didn't take any of them. There was a massive talking point towards the end of the game, and for me, stonewall penalty. Onana got nowhere near the ball, took out one of the attackers, and you know, I don't see what VAR are doing. John Moss came out and said after the game to Gary O'Neill that it should have been a penalty and it was incorrectly awarded. So the one thing I will say is, what will come of this? The ultimate answer is absolutely nothing. The amount of apologies the PGMOL had to give out last season was crazy. You know, they have video assistant referees for a reason, and they constantly get decisions wrong. And in game week 1, you have a massive decision like this, and again, an incorrect decision has been made, a clear and obvious error has not been rectified, and John Moss has had to come out and apologise, which it's all good and well them apologising and accepting that they made a mistake, but they made countless mistakes last season, and it seems like they haven't improved this season. So do expect more decisions to not go your way to every team in the Premier League, and utterly I think it is outrageous, because the Premier League is the most watched league. Whether it's the best of quality is up for debate, but it is the most watched league in the world, and we have the worst officiating in the world. But that is the end of my review. Like I said, there are a few teams which have already stamped their authority on the league. You know, Manchester City, Newcastle, Arsenal, you'll say, and there was a lot of exciting games. Out of my predictions, I ended up on 6 points. I predicted 6 correct scorelines. I didn't get any scorelines exact, but I predicted 6 teams to win. So that is the end of this video. If you like the video, please give it a like and subscribe. I do have a giveaway going on my Twitter. All you have to do is retweet and like the post and just follow me for a chance to win a Trent Alexander-Arnold signed winner's medal. But other than that, I will see you in the next video. Cheers.